sun-kissed spring bucks, Tim Pilbeam is out after one more fallow for our humongous lead alternative ammo test. Row, row everywhere, Tom Davies takes a buddy out on the first day of the Roebuck season. Plus, if you're a Fieldsports Nation member, you could be in with the chance of a free day stalking with Tom. Improve your shooting with the clay grounds open. Sam Green is looking at loopers.
You know where your first point of contact or where you see the target first. Remember, just bring that straight line back 50%.
And our own Big Bang Theory. We're back at the Buddhist monastery, this time with a sound engineer to record just how noisy the nearby rifle range is. We have news, we have hunting YouTube. Welcome to Fieldsports Britain. It's amazing how quickly a springtime stalk ends up being a 5 o'clock rendezvous. It's the early bird that catches the worm, and Tim's been worming heavily all winter.
So this is probably one of the last stalks actually of the season, testing long lead. So I'm going out on a local estate. They've got a management plan and we just need to take some more animals. So yes, it's the end of the season. It's been a very interesting project.
How many deer have you contributed to this project then?
I've shot about 12, I think. Yeah, about 12 deer.
You've held your own then?
Yeah, I've held my own, yes, but it's been a very, very tricky season basically because of COVID and walkers everywhere, and the deer are so spooky. But that's just one of those things we've got to deal with.
What brand are you using today?
Today, David. Today I'm using Gecko Zero, which is like a tin bullet. It's a fragmenting bullet, 136 grain. So that's my last outing with the Gecko.
Oh, you got a Merkel today?
Yeah, I've got a Merkel Helix Speedster in 308. And on the top of it, I've got a very, very nice Swarovski, 3.5 to 28 by 50, a Z8i. So I've got all the gear, but I haven't got a clue what's going on.
It's the end of March and the end of a 4-month experiment where Tim and 14 other stalkers across the country have been putting off-the-shelf lead alternatives down the barrels of their 308s, 3006s, 270s and 6.5 Creedmoors, to name a few. Nathan is our guide across a misty Sussex. Both of them are thermaled up, Tim with the Pulsar XP50 and Smokey with the XP38. As yet, there's no heat signature. Then, once past a dung heap, Smokes spots a herd. We want to prick it if possible, but we'll have to wait for the heat of the sun to reveal exactly what we've got.
Just wait for the fog to clear. We're nearly there. Another 5 minutes, we would have. And there's one young buck amongst them as well. So, so close, but that's the way it goes sometimes.
Unfortunately, they lift, and so do we, and end up looking at these likely lads. They're all shapes and sizes, with some having cast antlers. Unless they move 200 metres to our left, they will be safe as houses, because of the houses, and the motorhome sitting right behind them. Welcome to Sussex deer stalking.
I've never seen such a kind of quite a large group like this, but a bucks only. Really good. It's beautiful weather. Just look at that sunshine going across there. Really, really good.
After 10 minutes of enjoying the view, someone walks along the bottom edge of the field, which unnerves the already slightly concerned bucks. Smokes thinks we could intercept them. He's spot on, but there are only 1 or 2 animals he'd choose to take from the group, and, as he directs Tim, they're on their toes. He did say they're easily spooked. As much as the countryside is a pleasure to stalk through, we get no reward, although fortunately Paul, our host, has. Paul does most of his shooting abroad, especially in Germany, where the authorities banned lead ammunition in public hunting areas a long time ago.
We coped with non-lead very well, and now it's just the norm. We all know lead works, but we've got to face reality. It's not going to be around in 5 years. We know that. So we have to just get on with it, find stuff that works, and the more we work with the manufacturers, the more they'll develop. We shoot quite a few hundred deer a year, and we're just getting on with it. So, you know, it's coming. So just get on with it.
Back at the chiller, Tim assesses the carcass. It's been shot using a tin-tipped gecko round in .308.
The gecko there is very similar to the Evo Green. It's from the same stable actually, Gecko and RWS, owned by the same company. And basically these bullets differ from other copper bullets, is they fragment. So the front half actually fragments and does the damage, while the back half of it actually drives through the animal and out the other side. So it's very different, whereas the normal copper bullet will just expand, do its job, do the hydrostatic shock, and then go straight through. So it's just a very, very different type of bullet. And in this one here, that is fragmented before it actually went into the thoracic cavity. And the bullet itself has gone through the rib there, and it's gone out on the far side there.
Yep.
And if we look at the pluck, you know, we talk about deer running dead. You know, this is the heart here, and that has been, you know, in some ways the perfect shot. That heart has been completely destroyed, but yet the animal still ran on about 30 odd metres. I think that the point is these animals run dead. We've talked about it before in other films, is that the heart is destroyed, but yet the animal still runs away. You can have the perfect shot on an animal, and yet that will still run away.
It's another one on Tim's spreadsheet, bringing the total number of deer shot as part of the field tester experiment to more than 350 animals.
Thank you, Tim, Smokey and Paul. All the results from this experiment are in our latest field tester show that went live on Good Friday. It is the most comprehensive field test of non-lead ammo ever done, and we hope you find it useful. The results are raising questions which we will address in an upcoming article on our website, and if you haven't visited fieldsportschannel.tv recently, please go and have a nose about, as there's lots of new good stuff up there. In the meantime, here's some old bad stuff. It's David on the Fieldsports Channel News Stump.
This is Fieldsports Channel News. The Scottish Green Party is trying to whip up support for a grouse shooting ban. The Scottish Gamekeepers Association and others are calling them out over lies in the Greens campaign literature, which says that Grousemoor owners pay less than the minimum wage to their employees and that Grousemoor covers a fifth of Scotland. If only they did. With elections in Scotland only a few weeks away, the SGA is to write to the Electoral Commission about Green Party campaign literature. They say promotes misleading information about grouse moors. Uncomfortable truths for anti-grouse shooting campaigners came out this week. First, a scientific report reveals that managed muir burn increases sphagnum moss cover, and then the BBC reported that planting trees is not as good for the environment as some think. A report published in the Ecological Indicators Journal reveals that sphagnum moss cover in burnt areas was up to 5 times higher than in unburnt plots. The BBC reports that bogs are better for the environment than trees, as they can store carbon for thousands of years. Meanwhile, Daily Mirror journalist Nada Farhood, who won an award for her anti-hunting articles, reports the opposite, that burning Britain's moorland is an environmental disaster. BASC wants more recreational deer stalking on public land. As Scotland prepares for a long-running scandal over the mishandling of government deer culling contracts, BASC argues in the Sunday Times newspaper that sport hunters will reduce reliance on contractors and licences to cull deer at night and out of season. The article came out ahead of the publication of BASC's Holyrood election manifesto. It points to the low-cost stalking scheme on Arran, which is managed in partnership with BASC and Forestry and Land Scotland, as a replicable model. The Easter weekend saw day trippers set fire to large swathes of Britain's moorland. The situation was particularly bad on land managed by the National Trust and RSPB, which don't allow traditional gamekeeping practices such as muirburn that create fire breaks. 6 fire crews tackled a fire at Roebuck Edge with the help of Peak District Rangers. On Dartmoor, fire crews dealt with a gorse fire that started in a hedgerow. Devon and Somerset Fire and Rescue Service confirms that the fire was started on purpose. As more and more people visit the English countryside, the English government has brought out a new countryside code. More than 70 years old, the updated leaflet is shaped by 4,000 responses to an online survey. Changes include greater emphasis on open access, a reminder to be friendly to fellow visitors, rules on footpaths, not feeding livestock, and dog poo. It also provides advice on how to seek permission for activities such as wild swimming. Meanwhile, more than 100 members and supporters from the Beaufort Hunt formed a working party to clean roadsides in 10 villages across Gloucestershire and Wiltshire. Someone killed a deer, cut off its head, put the rest of it in a plastic bag and threw it into a pond in Motherwell. A local dog walker used the carcass she found as a good reason to criticise deer stalking in the Daily Record newspaper. Anne-Marie Curry says she found internal organs, 4 legs and a torso at a well-known fly-tipping area, which proves to her that the animal was shot by a trophy hunter. Thanks to Scott Tyler for this story. Spotted any exotic wildlife in Kent recently? If so, why not give the Prime Minister's fiancée a call and ask her to identify it? A safari park run by the Aspinall Foundation reports 5 animals escaping from its site in as many months. Among them are a female hog deer, similar to a muntjac, and a South American jungle cat, a small animal not dangerous to humans, but not good for chickens. Neither have been recaptured. Prime Minister Boris Johnson's fiancée, Carrie Simons, was appointed the Director of Communications at the Aspinall Foundation this year. Thanks to Steve Kearney for the story. Essex Police have recovered 27 dogs on a raid on suspected thieves. Officers say they seized 19 adult dogs and 8 puppies from an address on the 1st of April. They arrested a 54-year-old woman and 2 teenage boys aged 14 and 16. The range of breeds includes spaniels, terriers, lurchers, a French bulldog and a Rottweiler. Meanwhile, a teenager in Kent snatched a pug French bulldog cross as its owner took it for a walk. Julie Borland says the teen asked her to see the dog, then snatched it and ran away. Ireland is considering banning pigeon shooting. The National Parks and Wildlife Service says it wants to end the year-round open season on wood pigeons, saying there's little evidence they cause crop damage. It says some hunters are deliberately planting crops to lure wood pigeons for shooting. It is following the wild justice route of demanding that science should prove you need to go shooting. Last year, the Irish government banned pigeon shooting for the summer months, but reversed its decision after a backlash from farming groups and gun clubs. Thanks to Joe Farrelly for the story. Zlatan Ibrahimovic is getting the hairdryer, but not from a football manager. One of the world's greatest strikers, Ibra's roasting comes from a Swedish newspaper, Expressen, which uncovered import permits to his home country of Sweden, suggesting he shot a lion in South Africa in 2011. The former Manchester United and Barcelona forward has a large tattoo of a roaring lion etched on his back. Animal rights group PETA calls him a miserable coward. You can shoot a bear when you're 12 years old in New York. Junior hunters between the ages of 12 and 13 will be able to participate in big game hunting in New York State as part of the state's finalised budget for 2022. Up until now, hunters had to be aged 14. The state government has lowered the age to generate revenue from licensing fees, which will pay for conservation. And finally, hunting sports have a great future online. A video games developer says it made more than $25 million out of one realistic simulator. Ultimate Games now plans an even better version, revealing its new simulator, Ultimate Hunting, has a $1.2 million budget. It says the theme of hunting has a wide audience. Thanks to Per Holmseth for the story. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking for stories, fishing for facts.
Thank you, David. Next, it's time to scratch those itchy trigger fingers. The bucks are open for business.
Awesome.
The 1st of April, and all those roebucks that have been dancing in front of you during the doe cull are now fair game. In Britain, it's the start of the roebuck season. For those who finished their doe cull early, it's also a chance to get out and properly look for deer. And for stalking guides, it's the start of the client season. Mike Maslin is out stalking with pro guide Tom Davies today. Mike has known Tom all his life.
I think it's about 25 years.
Yeah.
He was about that big. Even that big, yeah. So he's come on quite a bit since then. Charlie, yeah, a long time.
Mike helps me out with putting up high seats, making high seats, and as a return favour, I take him stalking.
It keeps me busy. Sounds so good.
1st of April, so we're going to go out on the roebucks. We're staying local, we're going to do the local valleys, and yeah, I've been out the last couple of mornings just scanning, seen a few, so this morning the camera's here, we won't see any.
We do see some, and it doesn't take long. The thermal spotter reveals a group in a field which turn out to be 3 does. The one at the back is just about ready to pop. Roe usually drop their kids from May onwards. If we can, we're going to start on Tom's buck cull programme today. We retreat and skirt around the does without disturbing them in order to get to a single deer that Tom has spotted in a neighbouring field. It's a buck, and a good one to take, but it doesn't present a shot.
Where it wasn't safe to shoot anyway, and I don't think it was going to come out for a shot anyway, because it was on the edge of the wood. I think the does had spooked and it triggered that one, but yeah, but it's nice morning.
That's been a stunning morning.
Yeah, it's great. Spring's here, birds are singing, and that is hunting.
Next stop, and we hit Roe Motherlode. All highly visible, but unfortunately not on Tom's ground.
We saw what I saw yesterday.
But not where you saw them?
No.
Okay.
So all my...
It's a little bit like I'm playing all the right notes,
yeah.
but not necessarily.
Yeah, so all that hard work was for nothing.
Right, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, no, we've seen... I don't know, there's another 2 over there now.
16,
That's out grazing.
16?
Yeah, 17, including the buck that's
17.
opposite side of the valley us now, which is currently chilling out. We need to just make sure that's out there. We've seen a lot of deer.
The next animal that Tom spots is a buck sitting in the corner of a primrose field, certain it is in a safe place. As we stalk in, we see why. The ground subtly undulates and we keep losing sight of it. Then we get to the place we can see its antlers about 30 metres away. It's so happy where it is, it takes no notice when Tom starts making noises to move it. Eventually, Tom decides to move even closer, and of course, that's the moment that the buck moves on.
I mean, the way he was, like, we had to do something. He doesn't, he didn't have a care in the world. We were there until we moved. Anything to spook him, they're not going to hang around. And when he stood up, he wasn't even presenting a shot anyway, was he?
No, he wasn't.
He was facing away, looking back over his shoulder. But that's a shame. But he's a nice animal, old buck. I've got pictures of him in velvet last year, which is nice. Yeah, he's a nice big 6-point buck. It's about as nice as they get here in Dartmoor.
At this time of year, it's easy to see the difference between young bucks and old bucks. Tom explains how.
What you're looking at, the start of the season, you'll be looking at the older animals will clean up first with velvet, and then the younger animals follow. And then you're looking at coats as well. The younger animals will change their coats first, and the older animals follow. So that's a good way of identifying age of animals this time of year. It is a good indication with the velvet and the coat changing.
Now it's off to a campsite, not to set up a tent, though Tom's stalking guests do stay there, and there's a link to it in the description below. It is set in Devon Woodland, and Tom stalks there. We find our first bucks in a small plantation. Again, there is no clear, safe shot here, so we have to move around and onto them. This is where Tom and Mike become a victim of woodland. The trees shed long, snappy sticks, and that gives away the position of the stalkers to the deer.
There's not a lot we could really do there. Get on the sticks now. Quick. Where they were, no matter what angle, there was just a brow continuously. But we did have what we thought was a safe shot, but then got a glimpse of, it's ewes and lambs behind. It's not worth risking that shot.
So we made a manoeuvre, which is about the only manoeuvre we could do.
We're just stepping on stuff all the time.
Yeah, it wasn't, not easy.
We are beginning to lose the light. Tom spots one more animal in the campsite woods.
Yeah, other side, through that. There's one gap in that tree. Right through that gap. I think I've got a buck, Charlie. I think there's a buck in there.
They move around to look more closely, and disappointment. Back at the ranch, we hold the post-mortem chat, despite the lack of actual mortem.
We've seen plenty of deer today, I think.
Do you feel your kind of season is laid out in front of you?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't even touched a fraction of my stalking ground either. So yeah, it's looking promising, definitely. Yeah.
And nice bucks as well. Some really good bucks today.
Yeah, I've done a count. I think it was in 26 row today. Several bucks amongst them, some nice ones.
One of the reasons we see so many animals today is Tom's use of thermal. It seems that technology has made finding animals easier, while stalking into a shooting position is harder. Tom might be the expert, but Mike has been stalking a lot longer.
I don't disapprove of progress like that, but I used to stalk with some really good, I mean, there's me saying in my 60s, but older stalkers, and they were so gentle and quiet, and they stalked in a very methodical manner. I guess they had to, they didn't have thermal then.
Some of the deer we've seen today, you never would have seen them without thermal. No way.
No, without a doubt. No way. No.
Even that buck that got away this morning, the last one we saw, to see that for the binos, unless we actually stalked that valley, we never would have seen that. No. But it gives you the opportunity to cover more ground. You can, as long as you're quiet and moving fast, it's okay. You're not stomping and crashing through trees and whatnot, like we did today. But
26 rows seen and none shot. That's a worthwhile day. For the benefit of the freezer, Mike comes back the following evening and Tom makes it doubly worth his while. First, there's this buck in velvet. Then a long shot on another buck, just as the light is fading. If you would like to go stalking with Dartmoor Deer Services, find Tom on Facebook or Instagram. Links in the description below. And if you're a Fieldsports Nation member, you can win a morning and evening outing with Tom.
Thank you, Tom. And as I mentioned, you could win an outing with our Devon Deer Manager if you watch Fieldsports Extra. And how do you do that? It's easy. Join 1,700 other people in the Fieldsports Nation for £1 a week. Details in the description below. Next, Sam Green loops the loop.
Yeah, good, thank you.
So, a new set of targets today. What we're going to run through first?
So we're going to go for a looping target and sort of try and work out the best place to shoot a looping target, although they do vary a lot with the distance, how much they drop in. Some people like to shoot them quick, where they find that straight line. Some people like to leave them where the point where they're just about to drop. So we're going to run through that and we'll just let Phil shoot some loopers and we'll see where we end up and why we're shooting that target at that point.
Where do you take your looper then?
Again, it varies on the target, how far away it is it covering lots of ground. I tend to like to shoot them at the point of when they've reached the top of the arc, so they're just about to drop. On that very last point of where they're going to drop, that's where I tend to like to shoot them.
Oh.
Okay, before you shoot that, okay, just tell me what have you picked out of that target? So we're going to look at the target again. Okay, yeah. We'll just run through it.
Oh. Okay, well I see it when I first see it, it's slightly on edge.
Yeah.
It opens itself out on the apex of its arc, and to me I see it clearest at the top there. So I want to be sort of aiming to kill it just on the top, or just as it's just about to drop below.
Okay, and what have you picked for your features and marking that target exactly where you're going to go?
There's a wind turbine there. the
Yeah.
right hand one of the pair there. I can see the clay appear there over the mound, and my kill point is just past this main wind turbine here.
Yeah. So you're going to set up for your kill point,
Yep.
run back onto that hole point, and then we're going to shoot the target.
Yep.
Cool, let's go for that.
Oh.
Okay,
Yep.
let's take a cartridge out. Okay, let's go straight back to your hole point. Okay, when you say pull, can you stay in front of that target all the time?
Oh. No, it probably does overtake my gun slightly.
So it's overtaking you.
Yeah.
So is your swing going to match that target?
No.
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 So your hole point's actually too
bit
far
too far
back.
back.
Unless you like the swing through method, then yes, come back
I
that far.
tend to maintain lead.
Yeah, so if you're a maintain shot lead shooter,
Yeah.
then your whole point there is way too far back. That clay's beating you all the time.
Yeah.
You're going to have to, so that clay's doing 40 miles an hour, let's say, you're going to have to do 60 to
That's
overtake it, get in front.
Yeah.
Can you do that consistently?
Yeah, it's all down to more timing. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's just bring whole point out further where you can actually stay in front of the target all the time.
Okay. Oh.
Excellent. So a lot of people on a looping target, they know where they're going to shoot the target. Okay, when we say run that shot back or go back to your hole point, what we don't want to do is we'll set up for that target, but what we don't want to do is go back with the loop.
Yep.
Don't worry about the loop as such, okay? Cut that arc out. So if that's where you're going to shoot it, you know where your first point of contact or where you see the target first. Remember, just bring that straight line back 50%, okay? Yes, the target will slightly come over your gun, but you're coming up to that target on the point of where you want to shoot it. Your gun's going to be level. The target is going to be level with your gun. So don't ever worry about the arc of the target. Okay, so what we don't want to be doing is here and going back as a loop because the target's looping.
Yeah,
I can see
No
how
point.
that would happen though. I'd have done that. I'd have gone with the loop.
Yeah, so you'll see people that sort of, you may start there and they think, right, okay, I've got to go back with the loop. No, it's here, just run that straight line back, all right? That you don't, yes,
Yeah.
we always run the line of the target back as a crosser. This rabbit, okay, if we were going to shoot the rabbit here, we'd bring the gun straight back on the line of the target. But a looper, don't worry about the
Yeah,
actual
okay,
loop.
yeah.
We just run that line straight back to the clay trap.
Thank you, Sam. Now, a couple of weeks ago, news editor Ben reported on Mark Gardner's battle against intolerant Buddhists in southern Scotland who want to shut down his shooting range because, they say, it disturbs the tranquility. Ben has been back to Eskdalemuir to film sound tests outside the monastery, which Mark is sure will prove that claims by monks and their supporters are complete nonsense.
Mark Gardner's 2-kilometre gun range is under attack by angry Buddhists and their global army of keyboard warriors. They say it's noisy and are asking the Dumfries and Galloway Planning Department to deny a change of use application for the firing point.
Again, it's a planning permission for a shed. This is what we're putting in. And then everybody's got to realise that it's planning permission for a shed. All these people that are complaining and have had all these issues, why have they never just got on the phone and recorded it? If it was such an issue, if I was living in my house there, if the next door neighbour was making a noise and, you know, doing it all day, every day, I would record it on my phone. Not one have we seen.
Since nobody tried that before, Mark did, sending out a professional sound recorder to gauge sites in the valleys near the range in Eskdalemuir.
The weather conditions were absolutely perfect. It was sunny, it was bright, there was no wind whatsoever. Couldn't have been any better conditions for doing a noise test. So obviously we're communicating with the range and the sound monitoring team that were out.
Hi Mark, are you ready to start? Right, what time have you got? You ready to, what time?
11:03.
11:03 here, yeah?
Right, I will just go on that now. Exact time here, 11:03, George.
11:03. Okay, start when you're ready.
Okay, no problem, we'll start now.
Thanks.
Fire ready. We fired a shot every minute over a 30-minute period with a rifle without a moderator. 3, 2, 1. And over that 30-minute period, we didn't get any recordings whatsoever of gunshots at the monastery. So it's kind of a bit bit concerning that they're saying that this is destroying the peace and harmony.
The report shows vehicles passing at various times, no sign of any gunshots. There were similar results at the other 3 locations.
The whole report, to be honest, has been put together by an independent company. Again, we've videoed it all, so all the evidence is there, just to make sure that everybody in the community knows that we've done everything correctly from start to finish. Again, from the way we've handled everything here, we're being fair.
Thanks, Ben, and thanks, Mark. If that kind of support is useful to you, please back us by becoming a Fieldsports Nation member. Your support means we can do more of this kind of film. Now from Scotland to the wider world of hunting and shooting on YouTube, it is Hunting YouTube.
This is Hunting YouTube, which aims to show the best hunting and shooting videos that YouTube has to offer. Here is Graham Miller's latest video for Lanx vermin control, where it's goodbye night vision and hello to an old school red lamp on rats with an air gun around the farmyard. In Northern Ireland, Profile Wildfowling has a new permission on drilled barley, which the corvids are hitting hard. He sets up for a 50+ day result, happy farmer. Jack Garner puts out his new video of basic obedient tips for a gun dog, his Sprocker Widgeon. In Sweden, the Merilina Steyr channel is bolting mink to a shotgun using dogs and chainsaw smoke. With plans for deer under review in the UK, stalkers may be interested in this film from Texas Parks and Wildlife, the state agency in charge of deer. Here's their approach to overabundant urban deer. Squirrel Hunter is out. Guess what? Shooting squirrels. It is, as he says himself, a nicely taken dozen squirrels with a Daystate Mark IV. The Grey Squirrel channel is doing much the same in this film, Grey Squirrel Control, filmed on a pod. And finally, thanks to John Buxton for sending me this piece on the English Shooting channel. It covers the issues around the recent government ban on lead ammunition in England. That's it for this week. I've put all these films into a playlist for you. Click on the eye symbol top right or check this film's description. If you have a YouTube film you would like us to pop into the weekly top 8, email me the link, charlie@fieldsportschannel.tv.
And that's it for this week. If you haven't done so already, please whiz over to our website, aforementioned, where you can click to like us on Facebook and on Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, and of course pop your email address into our register page and we'll contact you about this show. Fieldsports Britain, it's at 7 PM UK time every Wednesday. And this has been Fieldsports Britain. Good hunting, good shooting, good fishing, and goodbye.